and he will talk about motivation and leadership.
Sound check, 1, 2, sound check. Okay, thank you. You guys have a hashtag for the conference?
Well, that's Inspira.
Hashtag inspire and be inspired.
A little longer.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Majeed like magic. I do that to help you remember my name. It's Majeed like, what is it?
Magic.
You got it. Please take out your mobile phones. Get ready to hashtag and tweet whatever you find tweetable. I want you guys to spread the good word about this conference. I'm going to speak to you this morning about leadership and motivation. So why am I here? Well, I'm an immigrant to Canada, as many of you guys are as well, or your parents were. I know what it's like to start to create new connections and new communities. When you come out to university, you don't know anybody, right? And you want to find a cause. You guys have found that cause. You guys have got together around OLAS. That's awesome. Myself, I came here, I didn't know a single person in all of Canada. I met this beautiful lady traveling in Africa, and I was like, where do you live? Ottawa, Canada? I gotta Google, where's that? Okay, I'm going there. And I came, and I didn't have a cause. I didn't have a community. But what I found was that helping young people like you figure out what you want to do with your life, that's my purpose. That's why I wrote this book. That's why I'm putting it in your hands. It's called Winning at Life. Because I found for myself, I didn't know what I wanted. I was kind of told, here's what you need to do, right? You go to class, they tell you, here's what you got to learn, here's when you're going to have the test, and the whole university thing is kind of spelled out for you. And then when I got to the end, they say the real world, I had no idea what I was doing. No idea. Never sat down to figure out what I wanted to do. This book you have in your hand is a step-by-step guide, fill in the blank. Go ahead and flip through it. It's all fill in the blank question and answers. Think of it like a conversation between me and you, right? The overall conversation is, what do you want to do with your life? When you figure that out and you commit to that, you become a leader, not of other people, you become a leader of you. See, today we're going to talk about leadership and motivation, but it's a little bit different. It's not how to lead other people. It's not how to motivate other people. It's how to lead and motivate the most important person in the world. You know who that is? Go like this, touch your chest like this, go ahead. Me. I gotta figure out how to lead me. I gotta figure out how to motivate me. And you will inspire and be inspired when you figure out how to lead me. That's what we're gonna talk about today. So to give you a little bit of background on what I've done since I got to Canada is I figured, okay, I gotta write this book, I gotta get in front of some audiences, and I gotta start training and teaching. This is what I felt inspired to do. Public speaking. So I'm what you call a professional speaker. I get paid to give speeches and paid to train. So leadership is one of my areas of expertise that I've developed for myself, and now I help other people figure out what is their unique flavor of leadership. So I've taught leadership at the United Nations in New York City. I teach it to the US Army. I teach it to the United States federal government, the Canadian federal government. Everyone has the same challenge. How do I get other people to do what I need them to do? They're trying to figure out, how do I get other people to do what I need them to do? But they haven't yet figured out, how do I get me to do what I need me to do? So we're going to talk about that. Okay. Leadership and motivation. We hear these words. What does it mean? What is leadership? What does it mean to you? Motivation. What does it mean to you? We're going to talk about it. Do you believe this? You can change the world. A little cliche, maybe. You can change the world. Let me tell you a story about a guy who wanted to change the world. There was a guy, young like you, full of energy, full of passion, full of spirit. He wanted to change the world. When he was about 20 years old, he said, I'm going to choose a cause. And I'm going to campaign around the world for this cause. I'm going to try to change the world. And he would try to convince people to change. He would campaign with his message. And for 20 years, he struggled. And after 20 years, he was 40 years old, and he said, geez, this is a lot harder than I thought. I'm having a really hard time changing the world. Maybe I should set my sights a little closer. He said, I'm going to change my country. And he took his cause and he campaigned around the country and he tried to convince people to change for 20 years until he was 60 years old. And he said, man, this is really hard. Trying to get people to change around the country. Maybe I should set my sights a little bit more realistic, a little bit more narrow. He said, I'm going to campaign around my city. I'm going to change my city. And for 20 years, he worked on the people of his city. He wanted them, he had his cause, and he tried to convince them, and he campaigned, and for 20 years, he goes, geez, this is harder than I thought. 80 years old, he said, you know what? I'm going to focus on my family. I'm just going to talk to my family, my kids, just try to get my family to change, right? So he said he campaigned, and he tried to convince them to follow his message for 20 years until he was in the hospital at 100 years old. On his deathbed, he said, you know what? I've gone about it all wrong. I tried to change the world, tried to change the country, I tried to change the family, and I never stopped to wait and change me. Go ahead, touch your chest like this. Me. Because he said on his deathbed at 100 years old in the hospital, he said, if I would have changed me, then I could have shown my family what was possible. I could have inspired my family. And if they would have been inspired, they could have changed themselves. And they could have inspired their city. And if they would have changed the city, then maybe the country would have changed. And if the country would have changed, maybe the world would have changed. You guys are the center of the ripple. Okay? Before you go out trying to lead and motivate other people, me. You gotta motivate me. So that's the story of the guy who tried to change the world. And I believe you can change the world. And I think he gave us the recipe. He gave us the formula. How to change the world? And change me. So leadership, we're going to talk about 4 things. Vision, values, trust, and consistency. Vision, values, trust, and consistency. We'll cover that today. In motivation, we'll talk about 4 things. We'll talk about external motivation versus internal motivation. We'll look at self-discipline, self-awareness, and finally, lastly, motivating other people. Okay? Here we go. Vision. What is vision? We follow leaders that can see the future. We don't want to follow people who don't really know what they want. We want to follow people that know what they want and they can taste it. They can see it so well, they can taste it. You've got to have the vision. What does the vision start with? The vision for you, your life. A vision is a collection of goals. Okay, goals are your targets, it's your focus, it's where you're going. Okay, you're at point A right now. You want to get to point B. Point B is the goal. Now, most people don't have goals. Now, that's strange because there have been hundreds and thousands of books written on success. The topic of success, how to get what you want, right? In fact, you're holding one right now. Look at the subtitle on the cover. Your Personal Success Guidebook. I'll tell you what, the information in there is the same information you're going to get in any other success book. It might just be told in a different way. It might just have some different exercises. All success boils down to one thing. You know what it is? Goals. Goals. Now, funny thing about goals, most people don't have goals. And yet, most people know that goals is the secret to success. Why is it that they don't have goals? What do you think? Yes?
Too lazy? Too tired?
I don't have time. I don't have the energy to set a goal. Very good. What else?
They kind of just like go with the flow. You know, the whole like they just exist and they don't live.
Yes, reacting to the world around them, right? And it's easy to do that when you're in school, because what time are you supposed to be at school? They tell you, right? You got to be there. How long is class? It's this long. Then the bell rings and you go to that other class. And then you get to university, and the first day of class, they give you, here's your goals for the next 6 months. That's called the syllabus, right? We're going to have a quiz in 2 weeks. We're going to have a test in 4 weeks. And at the end, we're going to have this exam. Those are your goals. Every day you're working towards goals. The question is, are they your goals or are they someone else's goals? When you go and work for a company, your boss says, here's your goals. You have to get this thing done by Friday. You got to get this thing done by the end of the month. Those are your goals. Other people give you goals all the time, and you're very good at achieving other people's goals because you have consequences. If I don't get the assignment finished by the end of the week, I'll have this consequence, right? But where's the consequences for your goals? You see, we don't give ourselves consequences. We don't create the goals because here's the thing. As soon as you create a goal, you create the possibility to fail. This is why we don't set goals. As soon as you create a goal, you create the possibility to fail. If you want to tweet that, go ahead and take your phone. Hashtag Olaus Inspira, inspire and be inspired. When you create a goal, you create the possibility to fail. That's scary, is it not? See, we learned in school failure is bad, didn't we? In fact, where I grew up in the States, we have the worst score, the worst letter is an F. A is the best score, B is the best, but I didn't go to school in Canada, but I hear that the worst score is an R. Is that true? R, redo? Right.
French.
What is it?
In French, it's R.
In French, it's R. Okay. In United States, where I went to school, F means failure. You are a failure, it means. That's the worst thing. But what we learn in life is that failure is just trying something, didn't work out. You learn from it, you try again. You have to rethink the concept of failure. So setting a goal creates the possibility to fail, but without a goal, you have no direction. You have no focus. Okay? In this book that you have in your hand is a step-by-step guide to set goals and break down those goals into actions and changing the beliefs you're going to have around what's possible for your life. All that's in the book there, and I really want you to use it, okay? So you got to have vision. People follow people who know where they're going. They can see it. Values. What do you stand for? What's important to you? Let me give you a very quick way to figure out what your values are. I'm going to need a volunteer to pass out Post-it notes, please. Okay, you got Post-it notes coming at you. I want you to take 3 and pass it along. Okay, take 3 Post-it notes, then pass it along. What do you stand for? What's important to you? These are your values. Where do your values come from, by the way? Where do you learn your values? Family? Church? Society? Yeah? Culture? Very good. Okay, here's what I want you to do. This on the screen is a list of values. These are words that people care about. But the ones that you care about the most are unique to you. Okay? So I want you to read through the list and see what kind of resonates with you. What are the values that fit for you? And then on your 3 Post-it notes, I want you to choose your favorite 3. Okay, the most important 3 to you. Okay, I'll give you about a minute to do this. Read through the list and put 1 value on each of the 3 Post-it notes, okay? So for example, if you think consistency is really important, then write that on the 1 Post-it note, then skip to the next Post-it note. If you think diversity is really important, then you write that on a Post-it note and skip to the next one. Okay, I'll give you a minute to do that. 30 seconds left. Ten seconds. All right, now take your 3 Post-it notes and hand them to the person on this side of you, to your right, until it makes it all the way down to the end. All the way to you. All the way to you.
Oh, I thought we were like,
You gotta keep having them all the way Just have them all the way
Was that easy or hard? We value a lot of different things, don't we, right? But if I asked you and I said you can only choose 3, you can prioritize. And if I said, okay, now you got your top 3, but you only get to keep 2, you have to lose 1. Which one would you get rid of? And then if you can only keep 1, you have to lose that. What's that last one? What's that most important thing to you? For some people, it's family, right? Some people, it's love. Some people, it's adventure. Whatever it is for you, that's what you stand for. And the sooner you know that, the better and sooner you'll be able to lead yourself and lead other people. Because your values are what you stand for. Your values are what gets you out of bed on a Saturday morning. And you guys all deserve a pat on the back for that, being here today. Give yourselves a round of applause. Saturday morning. Okay. Who's got Post-it notes in their hand? Okay. If you got your Post-it notes, can you come down and stick them on that wall? Go ahead and stick all the Post-it notes on this wall. We're going to be able to see everyone else's values here in just a minute. Go ahead, stand up if you got Post-it notes. Thank you very much. You've got to know what you stand for. You got to be able to show other people what you stand for. How do you show people what you stand for? Your actions and your words. Now let me ask you this. Those 3 values that you wrote down, do your actions and your words align to those values? When people have values and they share what those values are, when people's actions and words align to those values, that's leadership. Those are people we trust. Those are people we follow. Steve Jobs, what are his values? Go ahead, say it.
Perfection.
Perfection. Good. What else?
Hard work.
Hard work. What else?
innovation.
Innovation. Beautiful. Martin Luther King, what are his values? Equality. Justice. What is it? Real loud. Truth. Mother Teresa, Gandhi. What are Gandhi's values?
Freedom.
Good. Freedom. What else? Humility. Beautiful. What else? Balance. Balance. Awesome. Pablo Picasso, what are his values? Creativity. Uniqueness. Now, how did you know this? Did you guys just Google Martin Luther King and say, what are Martin Luther King's values? No, you know this because you've observed their actions. You've heard their words. And you see their values. So here's my challenge to you. Make your words and your actions align to your values. Make your words and your actions align to your values. So that when someone asks, Chloe, is it Chloe? When someone asks, what are Chloe's values? People can say, Chloe stands for this, this, and this. Not because Chloe made a post on Facebook, hey guys, here's my values. But because we see her actions, we see her words, we know what she stands for. That's leadership. People follow people that they know their values. They see their values. Your values are very important. Now, when we get to motivation here in a minute, I'm going to show you how you can motivate other people with their values. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. Very good. So, these are the values of OLAS. And guess what? You all chose 3. I'm certain that nobody had the same 3. Everybody has different values. People have different values. And when you're motivating other people, you're speaking to their values. They're seeing your values, and you're speaking to their values. Why? Because people do things for their reasons and not yours. People do things for their reasons and not yours. Some people who value friendship and connection, you would say, hey, come out to the Inspira Conference. You're going to meet some really nice people. And they're going to go, great, that's why I'm going to get up on a Saturday morning to meet nice people. Some people value education and knowledge values. They value education and knowledge. Come to the Inspira Conference because you're going to learn great things. Some people value career. Hey, come to the Inspira Conference. You're going to meet some people that are going to help your career. In order to motivate people, in order to get people to do what you need them to do, you have to speak to their values. You have to speak to what matters to them. And it's not the same as what matters to you. So how do you figure out what matters to them? You observe their actions, you listen to their words, and you think, what is important to this person? To motivate another person, you speak to them based on their values, not your values. If we don't think about this, we tend to think the world has the same values as me, right? But leaders know that people have other values and speak to the values of the people that they're motivating. Okay? Trust. You got to trust leaders. If you want to be a leader, people have to trust you. I want you to think about this. Think of one person in your mind right now who you trust. One person you totally trust. Got it? Got that person? What is it about that person that makes you trust them? What makes you trust people? Their actions and their words are aligned, right? Transparency. You can see, you don't think like they're saying one thing but they mean something else, right? They're honest. They say what they mean and they mean what they say. And they're consistent. You can predict them. If they're mysterious, you can't trust them. Oh, I don't know. He said one thing, he did another thing. He said he would be here at 4 o'clock, but he's not here at 4 o'clock. One of the easiest ways you can build trust with people is be on time. One of the easiest ways you can build trust with people is you can be on time. Because I'll tell you what, if you're going to be 15 minutes late, and then you say, hey, I promise I'm going to send you that email by the end of the day today. What's going on in my head? I don't know. You can't even make it here on time. I don't know if you're going to send that email. Because what? The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So if I'm going to trust you, I want to see consistency. I want to see transparency. Here's one way to put it. It's called Dwizzywood. This is a formula for trust. The trust formula is called Dwizzywood. It stands for do what you said you would do. Do what you said you would do. What does Dwizzywood stand for?
Do what you said you would do.
That's right. That's the formula for building trust. Do what you said you would do. The alarm clock. Anybody still have one of these? Probably wake up with a cell phone, right? This used to be my, probably still is, my least favorite sound in the world. You know, the it's like, oh, come on, I gotta get out of bed, right? Now, when I was your age, we called it college back in the States. When I was at college, I would wait until the last possible second to get up. Anybody else? Anybody a last possible second type person here? You can be honest with me, right? In fact, I would pride myself on how late I could wake up, right? Like if my class is at 10 o'clock and it's 6 minutes away, I'm setting the alarm for what time? 9:54, right? Right? Okay. Or I'll go to bed and I'll say, okay, my class is at 10 o'clock. I gotta get up, get myself put together. I'll set my alarm for 9, but then what do? Snooze, 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 until it's 10 o'clock, and then, oh crap, I gotta run, and I'm all crusty with drool coming out, and I'm in my pajamas, I'm like, I'm here. But the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. What does my professor think of me already? Mr. Pajama with the crusty drool face, right? The alarm clock, I want you to think of your alarm clock as your symbol for excellence. Don't call it an alarm clock anymore. Call it an opportunity clock. It's an opportunity clock because you have the opportunity to create your day with an alarm clock. The problem is anybody who hits snooze, you heard the phrase, you snooze, you lose. You are becoming a loser every time you snooze. You're losing out on time, and time is life, right? You're letting those minutes slip away. But here's the thing. People make promises to other people, and they're generally pretty good at keeping promises. We're pretty good at keeping promises with other people because we have this thing called social pressure, right? If I say I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there because I don't want to look bad to you. But if I say I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. and I don't have to look bad to anybody but me. And the problem is I break a promise with myself before I even get out of bed in the morning. What does it do to my integrity? What does that do to my reputation to me, right? The night before, okay, I go, all right, I'm going to get up in the morning, I'm going to go for a jog. I'm going to work out, I'm going to have my green smoothie, I'm going to do my journaling and my prayers and my motivational reading, right? So you give yourself like an extra hour and a half before your first appointment. Then you wake up in the morning and all of a sudden, the bed seems a whole lot more cozy than all those other things, right? Snooze, 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 lose, lose, lose. And you break the promise with yourself. You didn't Dwizzywood. This was me for like my teens, my 20s, until I started studying successful people. And I started to see a correlation. The more successful, the earlier they woke up, the less they hit snooze. Well, let me ask you this. Why do you get up in the morning? Why do you get up in the morning? If your answer is because I have to, that's not the kind of answer that's going to get you jumping out of bed excited for the day, right? Let me show you a little bit of language shifting, okay? Take the words I have to and turn them into I choose to, right? I have to get out of bed versus I choose to get out of bed. What's the difference? The choose is like I'm in control. It's my choice. I have to is like I'm a victim. Oh my gosh, I have to go to class. I have to go to this meeting. I have to go to this conference. No, I choose to go to this conference. Now let me show you one more shift. It goes from being in control to being in a state of happiness and gratitude. One word difference. Instead of I have to, instead of I choose to, you say I get to. I get to go to the Inspira Conference today. I get to go to a class at a top university. I get to go to work at a job that so many people would kill to have my job. Not I have to go to work. Not even I choose to go to work. I get to. That's a state of gratitude. And gratitude, folks, is the secret to happiness, is it not? When the alarm goes off, you jump out of bed and you say, thank you for this opportunity, Mr. Opportunity Clock, because I get to seize the day today. Instead of snooze, 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 oh crap, I'm going to be late. The rest of the day is in chaos. Leadership and motivation starts with you and your alarm clock. Sorry, what's it called? Opportunity clock. I'm telling you, if you take away one thing, take away this. When you wake up in the morning, don't snooze. Jump out of bed. Say, I get to, and say, thank you for this beautiful day. Have a reason so compelling to wake up in the morning that you jump. Think of this. Instead of a regular old day where you're just setting the alarm and you're just getting up because you have to, think today's the day I'm going to Disney World. Today's the day I'm going to Disney World and my flight leaves at 8 a.m. and I ain't going to miss that flight, right? That's the day, you know when you have something exciting the next day, you wake up before the alarm and you wake up like full of energy and your eyes just pop open, you go, ha, right? Like Christmas morning, right? If you plan your day the night before and you think, what am I going to do tomorrow? What's my big thing to do tomorrow? What am I excited about for tomorrow? When you go to bed with that same kind of, I'm going to Disney World tomorrow kind of attitude. Make sense? Every day is an opportunity. And all it takes is for you to get close to death to realize this. This last year, I held my grandmother's hand as she died in her hospital bed. It's crazy. I saw death. I saw death come into the hospital room, take the soul. There are people who have near-death experiences, and there are people who experience death close, totally changes their life. Why? Because they realize that every day is a gift. Now, you don't have to get in a near-fatal car accident. You don't have to hold someone's hand while they're dying to realize every day is a gift. And you squander that gift with the snooze button. Do what you gotta do to never hit snooze again. Get yourself excited for the morning. This is the opportunity. This is the opportunity for you to be a leader of yourself, to motivate yourself. You have to have a reason to get out of bed in the morning that's so powerful. And you guys have so much opportunity to impact the world. You guys can change the world. But not if you snooze. The alarm clock. What's it called? Not an alarm clock, it's a opportunity clock? Okay. Leadership. Vision. Values. That's your values. Make sure your words and your actions align to your values. Make sure you know where you're going, set goals. Trust. Do what you say what you do, be honest. Dwizzywood, do what you said you would do. And consistency, do it every day. Everything worth doing is worth doing consistently. Any goal, whether it's a bodybuilding goal or a career goal, every single day, consistency. And it starts first thing in the morning. All right, let's talk motivation. Motivation. I have been called a motivational speaker. Raise your hand if you're feeling motivated right now. Okay, I learned a very humbling truth, I can't motivate you. I can't motivate anybody. There's only one person I can motivate. Me, right? I can't motivate you. You're motivating you right now because you're listening, right? And if you're not motivated right now, it's because it's not resonating with you. You're not hearing it, or you're not here, you're distracted. You can't motivate other people. You can only motivate yourself. So, external versus internal motivation. We seek external motivation. At the gym, they have those, what are they called? The guys who are the personal trainers, right? That's an external motivator. Oh, I'm going to go there, and I'm going to work out because the big, muscular guy told me to work out. And if I don't show up, he's going to be mad, and I'm going to feel foolish. That's external motivation. It works to an extent, but what happens when you get a text message from the personal trainer that says, sorry, I'm sick, I can't make it today? You go, great, snooze, 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 go back to bed. External motivation is very fleeting. And it uses this social pressure that if I don't do it, I'm going to look bad. But the real champions, the real legends, they're on the practice field even when the coach isn't there. They're there early. They're staying late. Why? Because they have some sort of an internal drive. Your internal drive comes from when you have clarity for your purpose. You want to get clarity on your purpose? Guess what? We got an exercise for that right in your book. Clarity for your purpose. When you know why you're doing what you're doing, not just how to do it, not just what to do, but why you're doing what you're doing, that's where you get that internal motivation. Internal motivation can't be stopped. You're unstoppable. External motivation, it's fleeting. It's social pressure. It's the personal trainer at the gym. It's the coach who yells at you if you don't push yourself harder. That's good. It works while they're there, but when they're gone, what's next? Leaders have internal motivation. And internal motivation comes from what? Clarity of purpose. Why are you doing what you do? You ever heard the phrase, you gotta have a powerful why? That's clarity of purpose. Clarity of purpose. Why are you here today? Why are you in Olas? Why are you at university? You know, the kids who drop out of university, it's because they joined university because mom told me to. Because I didn't want to disappoint my parents, right? The ones who stay and work harder, and they're on the practice field before the coach gets there, and they're on the practice field after the coach leaves, that's because they have a burning desire inside of them, clarity of purpose. They want to change the world, and they believe it's possible. Why are you in university? Why did you choose the field that you chose that you're studying? Oh, because I heard you can get a good job. That's not going to get you through the hard times. That's not going to get you through the rough spots. What's going to make you unstoppable and bulletproof is clarity of purpose. Knowing why. So get clear for your internal motivation. Self-discipline. Discipline is kind of a harsh word. In fact, discipline is used to explain how parents punish their kids, right? And so self-discipline can sometimes be interpreted as punishing yourself. Here's my definition of self-discipline. You ready? Doing what you got to do even when you don't want to do it. That's it. Doing what you got to do even when you don't want to do it. If you want to get big buff muscles at the gym, you don't have to want to go to the gym. You just have to go to the gym. You see how that works? You go to the gym even when you don't want to go. If you want to get the good grades in school, in your class, you don't have to want to study. You just got to study. When you set your goals and you have your clarity of purpose, then you got to do the work. And it's not always fun. And if you wait until you feel like it, you're not going to get it done. Consistency relies on self-discipline. Self-discipline is doing what you got to do, even when you don't want to do it. This separates the amateurs from the champions. Champions do it every day, even when they don't feel like it. That's self-discipline. Self-discipline's a muscle. Self-discipline's a muscle. You can build it. It's a habit. It's a habit of deciding you're going to do it and then doing it. Decide you're going to do it and then do it. When you wait till you feel like it, that's when you start floating. That's when you start drifting, right? I don't feel inspired to work. I don't feel inspired to work. So then the night before the test, you go, okay, all of a sudden I just got inspired, so I'm going to cram, and then I'm not going to really realize my potential, right? Just doing what you got to do, even when you don't want to do it. Guys, no one said leadership was easy. No one said motivation was easy, but there is a formula. Study the greats. Study the greats throughout history. The people who are from 100 and 200 and 300 and 400 years ago that you know their name. You know why you know their name? Because they had the self-discipline. They had the motivation. They were leaders, not of other people, of themselves first. You know why everyone marveled Gandhi? He could go for days and weeks without eating food. Hunger strikes. He would take the Great Britain, the country that said the sun never sets on the British Empire, this huge empire that was controlling India, and he brought this nation to their knees from not eating. One guy not eating, right? It wasn't like a bunch of people in the British Parliament would go, oh, this guy must be really hungry, we need to do something. It's because his demonstration of leadership, self-leadership, his demonstration of self-discipline, doing what he had to do, even when he didn't want to do it. His demonstration was so inspiring to the people around him that it created a movement of tens and hundreds of millions of people from watching a guy not eat. That's what he did. That's what Gandhi did. He didn't get a bunch of people with guns and bombs. He didn't do guerrilla warfare tactics. He just didn't eat. That's what Gandhi did. His demonstration of self-leadership was so inspiring that it moved hundreds of millions of people. Scared the crap out of the British nation. One guy not eating. Self-discipline. Doing what you got to do, even when you don't want to do it. Now, self-awareness is about understanding what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. Okay? This is something you'll learn very quickly. To achieve your full potential, you got to do what you're good at and let other people do what you're not good at. If you try to do everything, you will be mediocre very quickly. So how do you figure out what you're good at and what you're not good at? Here's one question you can ponder that's going to help you figure this out, okay? Here's the question. What's easy for you that's hard for other people? That's the question. What is easy for you that's hard for other people? Those are your strengths. Now, there's a book called Strengths Finder. It finds your strengths. Good title, right? It's a Strengths Finder. You can buy the book for like 15 bucks a chapters, or you can take the test online for $10. It's about a 20-question test, takes about 5 minutes, and it tells you these are your 5 strengths. And I'll tell you what, it's scary how good this thing is. All my clients that I work with one-on-one, this is the first thing I do, is I take this test. And it's been really eye-opening for me, really eye-opening for my clients. I highly recommend you take this test. What are your strengths? And then focus on doing what you're good at. Now, this is counter to our culture. Our culture says improve your weaknesses, which is a really bad strategy for excellence. If you think about it like this, when you were in high school, you came home with a report card. The report card said A, C, A. Which is the one that you're going to focus on? Which is the one that you're going to hire a tutor for, right? You're going to really work on that C. You're going to try to get that C, and you maybe bring it up to a B, maybe you bring it up to an A. But look, if you take the stuff that you're bad at, and you focus all your energy on it, you might just go from bad to average. Or you might go from average to good. But here's the counterintuitive genius of this book, of Strengths Finder, and the whole strengths movement. There's a whole management movement called strengths-based management. The genius is take the one thing that you're the best at and work on getting better at that. Isn't that kind of crazy? Take the thing that you're best at and work on getting better at that. That's self-awareness. That's understanding your strengths. You will never be good at everything. You will never be the best at everything. But if you take the one thing that you're the best at and you work really hard at getting better at the thing that you're already great at, you will become world class. You'll become legendary. And it's fun. It's fun to do the stuff we're good at. We like to do the stuff we're good at. You know how we know? Because time goes by quickly. You do something that you're good at for an hour, boom, it feels like 5 minutes, right? But if you work on the stuff that you're not good at, and you work and you stress and you struggle, 5 minutes can feel like an hour. You ever had that experience? It's a weird thing about time. When you do the stuff that you're good at, and you do the stuff that you're passionate about, time goes by quickly. You will all be fortunate enough to find a profession that you're doing what you're good at most of the time. This work, Strengths Finder, they study people working. They ask them this question. Do you spend a majority of your time doing what you're good at? That was the one question. Do you spend a majority of the time doing what you're good at? What they found is a crazy correlation. The people who said yes to that were less likely to have sick days, were less likely to quit their job, felt more productive, had a higher morale, less likely to sue the company. All based on this one question. Are you doing what you're good at? I hope for you, and this is the purpose of this book, the purpose of Winning at Life, is that you find what you're good at and you build your life around your strengths. Okay? Real quick and easy way to do this is take this Strengths Finder and ask yourself, what's easy for me that's hard for other people? Make sense? Finally, lastly, motivating others. Why did I wait to the end to motivate others? Because leadership and motivation starts with you. Don't try to lead and motivate other people if you haven't figured out how to lead and motivate you. And by the way, it's a lifelong journey to figure out how to lead and motivate yourself. You always get to new levels. There's always a next level. Okay? Motivating other people. Here's a secret. People do things for their reasons and not yours. That's it. People do things for their reasons and not yours. So if you want to motivate other people, you must find what is their reason. What is their reason? Why for them? Do you remember that clarity of purpose, that passion, that why? You got to find their why and tap into that. That's how you motivate other people. So this has been leadership and motivation. We talked about external versus internal motivation, right? External is very fleeting. Internal is that passion from within, that fire from within. We talked about Self-discipline, doing what you got to do even when you don't want to do it. Self-awareness, understanding your strengths. Motivating other people. Remember, people do things for their reasons and not yours. You got to find what their reasons are. When we talked about leadership, we talked about vision, values, trust, and consistency. That's leadership and motivation. Remember, you can change the world. It starts with you. Don't go out and try to change the world. Don't worry about your country, your city, your family. Worry about you so that you can inspire other people by being a leader and a motivator of the most important person in the world, you. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Majeed like magic. Thank you guys for having me here today. So remember, hashtag it up. Let people know about this conference. And if there's anything that you felt moved by, please do mention me on the Twitter. Take the book, use the book, write in the book. And do we have time for questions? Okay, I'll take a few questions. Yes?
What made you, did you ever feel unmotivated at one point in your life? And then what kind of made that change into, with yourself feeling more motivated?
I felt motivated. The last time I felt unmotivated was this morning. My alarm went off. You guys know how cold and slippery it is outside? And I was in my pajamas, and I love my pajamas. And I had this amazing mattress and this beautiful blanket, and it's so warm in there. But what allowed me to overcome that was I was excited to see you guys. I try to not go to bed without an amazing reason to wake up the next morning. And when I do go to bed, because I'm just so tired, so I've got a journaling practice before I go to bed. I write down 3 things I'm grateful for. I write down what's my big goal for the next day, and I write out my schedule, handwritten out. I got it digitally on my digital calendar, but I handwrite it out so I can see the day, and I go, okay, that looks like a pretty awesome day. That's what gets me excited for the next morning. Now, there are nights where I don't do this. And those nights, I wake up in the morning, and that's when I'm snoozing. Guys, I'm still snoozing. Even I'm preaching to you about don't hit the snooze button. If I don't have a reason to get out of bed that's more amazing than my amazing, warm, comfy bed, then I'm not getting out of bed. So what I have to do to overcome the setbacks is I have to have a really compelling vision for my future. And that future might be the next day. When I'm running my business, entrepreneurship is like getting punched in the face every single day. Why do people do this to themselves? It's because they have this vision of what they could be bringing to the world with their business. Or they have this vision of what's possible for their life and their business, and they take the punches every single day. If you don't have a compelling enough vision, you're going to get knocked out, and you're going to just crawl back into mediocrity. So you've got to have something so compelling and so clear that you can taste it, that it's worth all the pain. It's worth the pain of getting out of bed this morning. Yeah, good question, thank you. Yes?
And so far, what do you think has been your greatest learning moment?
That's a good question. Personal responsibility. Personal responsibility is, I am here because of the choices that I made. I am responsible for my situation. I made choices, I acted when I acted, I didn't act when I didn't act, and I'm responsible for where I am. And that mentality is at the same time, it feels scary, but it also feels like you're in control. And there are people who live life as a victim of circumstances, meaning that I can't get a job because there's no jobs in this town. Or I can't make any money on the stock market because it's rigged by the Wall Street people. Or I can't save money because it's impossible to pay my bills. And all these external reasons for their problems. But when people say, no, actually I'm here because of the decisions that I made, that's taking personal responsibility. It was a huge eye-opening experience for me. At the same time, it felt like, holy crap, so actually I have no more excuses. Kind of scary. But now I have total power because I can go anywhere I want to go as long as I'm willing to do the work. Yeah.
Do you believe formal education is
is required to become a successful entrepreneur?
Do I believe formal education is required to be a successful entrepreneur? No, I don't, because there are many great examples of people who have no education, dropped out of school, and had lots of success in business. I will tell you that your university experience is the most fun ever, so I wouldn't necessarily drop out because it's super fun. And learning is great. You're kind of in this like safe little bubble of having fun and learning. There is no right path. There is no path to success. First of all, success is defined on your terms. And in that book, you're going to write down what does success mean to you. This is what I call winning at life. It means what's your version of success, right? There are as many paths to success. There are infinite numbers of paths to success. So don't let anybody tell you you can't do that because you don't have a degree, or you can't do that because you don't have experience. I'll tell you, this training company, there's a worldwide training company. This is the opportunity that landed me into the United Nations. One of the largest training companies in the world. I was the youngest person to ever be a professor there, but I didn't know that. I didn't know I had to be a certain age. And if someone would have told me you have to be 50 to apply there, I would have never applied. I didn't know that. I ended up becoming their #1 trainer in the world. I never knew that they were even ranking us, but I was just doing my best. And the point is, sometimes ignorance can be your friend, okay? If you listen to other people say, you gotta do this and you gotta do that before you can get here, first of all, maybe that's their path. And maybe that's what worked for them. And if it worked for them, then they know what used to work, because that was in the past, that's not today. And they know what used to work for them. So don't let anybody tell you there's a right way to do things. And of course, universities are in the business of keeping you in universities. So they're going to tell you, you got your undergrad, you should get your master's, and now you got your PhD, and this is a business, right? So I'm not saying anything bad about education. I think constant learning, continuous education is a must for any leaders. But don't let anybody tell you that there's a right way to do it, for sure. Yeah. Yes, sir.
In the beginning, when you had us looking at the traits,
Yeah.
what would be your #1 trait?
#1, I know it, it's adventure. Value, my #1. And sometimes people get offended because they go, you mean it's not family? Like, people are really really into their #1, right? You mean it's not my #1? And I'm like, yeah, dude, adventure. Love to travel. I've been to over 30 countries. Anytime I get a little bit of time and a little bit of money, I'm gone. Adventure. In fact, my whole business is built around going to cool places and coming back with more money. Next week I'm in Washington, D.C. The week after that I'm in New York. Last week I was in L.A. Because I built my business around the life I want to live, which is a life of adventure. Yeah. Yes, sir.
So you mentioned earlier that you should, people should work around their strength instead of their weaknesses, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you do with your personal life to work like your strength instead of?
So where you see me right now, this is my strength.
Okay.
My strength is, so on the Strengths Finder, it's called communication, and there's another Strengths Finder called woo. Woo is like, being a magician, impressing people, and, performing. So my plan is to get in front of stage as much as possible. So get on stage like this, get in front of the camera, get in front of the microphone, and so I've designed it in such a way that my training company, they produce the materials, they get the customers, they do the customer service, they book my travel, they just say, Majeed, we need you in New York next week, here's your class, and I go, great. And then I get on stage and I do my performance, right? My personal business, I have an assistant who basically runs the business and says, Majeed, you gotta be at Carleton University on Saturday morning, and you gotta be over here this day. So she acts like my agent, she acts like my bookkeeper, so she's doing all the things I'm not good at, and the 1 or 2 things I'm good at is teaching and entertaining, which is what I'm doing right now. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Sure. I'm starting to read a lot more personal development related books. Are there any recommendations that you can give?
Yeah, so the original is called Think and Grow Rich. It's by Napoleon Hill. It's the father and the mother of all personal development books. Napoleon Hill spent his entire life creating for the first time ever the science of success. Every other book written after that has Think and Grow Rich to thank for that. My first book ever was called The Success Principles. That was before I ever heard of Think and Grow Rich. The Success Principles is by Jack Canfield. He wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. Get your hands on any book. Here's what I did when I was your age. I went around to all my friends and I said, what is your #1 nonfiction book? What's the best nonfiction book you've ever read? So I kind of used them as a filter, and then I read the best nonfiction book of all of my friends. Okay. Right now I do a book a week, and I don't read. I'm a slow reader, but I read with the audio. I use audible.com. Each book's about 4 or 5 hours. Every time I'm in the car, I got a quarter of a book done. I was reading a Napoleon Hill book on the way here this morning. It's called Outwitting the Devil. Okay. One more? Yes, sir.
So do you ever go outside your scope of comfort to improve yourself as a person or as a speaker?
Great question. So, the comfort zone, right? Check this out. So here's you. And here's the comfort zone. Okay? The comfort zone is stuff that you're comfortable with, stuff that you're used to. It's familiar. You don't grow in the comfort zone. So out here is the growth zone. You got to dip your foot into the growth zone constantly. This is how plants grow in nature. They're stressed and they grow. This is how muscles grow in the gym. They're stressed and they grow. So you got to ask yourself every day, what's something I can do today that scares me? The growth zone. And when you get comfortable in the growth zone, that's your new comfort zone. Then you need a new growth zone.
So that means that you have to work on things that you're not precisely good at.
It's a bit of a different concept. You're asking, do you do things that you're not good at? I suppose anything that you're learning at, you're a novice until you become a master, and so you are learning things. The process of learning is going from not knowing to knowing, and there's kind of 4 phases, okay? So the first phase is unconscious incompetence. Unconscious incompetence means you don't even know how bad you are. Like before you ever drove for the first time, you don't even know how bad of a driver you are. Phase 2 is conscious incompetence. Now you are aware that you're not good. So like the first time you drive, you're like jerking around, and you're hitting the brake, and like, wow, I'm really a bad driver. The third phase is conscious competence, where you're good at it, but it requires your full focus, right? It requires you gotta look in the mirror, you're thinking, okay, now I gotta push down the clutch and move the thing. And then eventually the 4th phase is called unconscious competence, where you're so good, you can drive and chew gum and talk on the phone and eat a hamburger while you don't even realize you're driving, right? So we're unconsciously incompetent on everything we don't even know we don't know, right? Until we're exposed to it, and we go, oh wow, I'm really bad at that, or I really don't know a lot about that. And this is the learning journey that we go on. So I'm constantly learning on things that are not necessarily in my strengths. But as I'm living the day, I want to live the day and do my work on what I'm good at, and get better at what I'm good at. I read public speaking books all the time. I teach public speaking, but I still learn about it. So I'm trying to get better at what I'm already good at. But I'm also learning about all sorts of things that, I'm quite incompetent on.
So the idea is working on what you're good at and incorporating things
That's right.
you're not good at.
That's right. And the way our brain works with subconscious mind, we really incorporate everything. We're constantly comparing what we're focusing on right now to everything that we've learned. So it's good to get some Renaissance art, get some German engineering knowledge, get some Mongolian history, and that's like super random, but you just starts to connect together. Yeah. Okay, can we do a little photo op, please? Here's what I want to do. I want to get everybody in the first 3 rows on this half of the, just right here. This is kind of a little illusion to make it look like a full auditorium. Okay, everybody, let's do it quickly. Right here. And bring your book, please.